Sculpture 3. For this project, we'll be thinking about how verbs or actions can provide a jumping off point for art making. You're going to explore how you can manipulate materials and ultimately create a sculpture that is based on a single verb or action. These lend themselves to many interpretations, so you do have a lot of choice in how you approach this concept. Prefer abstract work? Great, that fits. Realism? That works too. Anything and everything can really be examined through the lens of verbs. So it's actually something that we need to narrow down our options, and your artistic motivation work that you did in the last class will really help with these choices. First, so let's think about how other artists approach this. So the inspiration for this project comes from Richard Serra's well-known verb list. Now you might be familiar with Richard Serra's work if you've gone to the LA County Museum of Art, LACMA, and seen his work Band. Now, if you consider his piece Echo, this is made up of two parallel sheets of steel that actually create an echo space between them. And in this one, you can really see the ongoing action or verbs in his work. It's interesting to note that Serra worked in steel manufacturing early in his life. Consider how do the backgrounds and experiences we have shape how we create and what we work with. Now, verbs and actions are very broad, and Richard Serra is not unique in his approach here. He just happens to be a very well-established artist. Read older white male. So he's particularly well known for this, and he acts as a jumping off point for this project. But let's look at other artists whose work could be looked at through the lens of actions or verbs. Sonia Gomez. Now, to be clear, Sonia Gomez doesn't actually approach her art making by selecting a verb, but we can examine it from this perspective. So what verb could we apply here? We could think about to bind, to drag, to pull, to stretch. Now let's also consider her use of materials. Sonia Gomez is known for her use of textiles, found objects, and embroidery. And she uses them often in reference to Afro-Brazilian traditions, such as the types of textiles and embroidery styles that are traditional, and what are called the feminized crafts, things that are in the margins, things like embroidery and other folk art crafts that are traditionally not considered high art. All that to say, there's a lot going on here in her work, and we can think about it from a verb list, but ultimately her work has a much broader context to examine. Julia Half-Candle's works are abstract interpretations of everyday items and representations of experiences such as hair and combs, fingers, infinity, and moods. In this particular piece, Interlocking Arch, we can think about the verbs grasping, holding, weaving. Bill Reed. In this piece, Raven and the First Men, Bill Reed depicts the Haida creation legend, Raven discovering a clamshell on the beach, and with the first men were inside, and he coaxed them out. Thus, we can think about this from the verb emerge. Ejo Joke Tuba Gaye. They work with fibers, traditional African brooms, and this piece in particular is called Flow. You can see there's a lot of movement happening here, and we can think about flow, line, dynamism. There's a lot happening. So for the first day, you will be learning and exploring. We'll always spend at least one day at the start of every project in explore mode, sometimes two. So your first task today will be on the topics page to follow the explore and study tasks.